We have now been at sea for over a week since departing from the Bahamas, trying to sail east across the North Atlantic Ocean. But so far the weather has not been kind, with headwinds, calms, and then yet more strong headwinds, forcing us to sail extra miles as we zigzag our way east.
It is with relief that we eye the horizon for the first sight of Bermuda, where we can pause and take a breath.
We know crossing the North Atlantic Ocean is not going to be easy. We are no longer in the trade winds. This ocean passage has a fearsome reputation for storms and calms, and we will face them all in our bid to complete this ocean odyssey and return home to England.
Between us and England still lie over 3,000 miles of open ocean sailing.
Thankfully, there are 2 safe havens where we can break our passage along the way, in Bermuda and then the Azores, before the final leg home to the British Isles.
We are Amy and Matt, and this is Florence, our home and safe haven upon the ocean. Together, we have sailed over 46,000 miles around the globe on a 7-year voyage of discovery, and now it's time to sail back to where this journey began.
After enduring nearly 2 days of pounding upwind in 20 to 30 knot winds, a chance to rest and recuperate is almost within our grasp. Just over the horizon lie the tiny islands of Bermuda. Isolated in the North Atlantic Ocean, 600 miles from the nearest land, but boasting an incredibly sheltered harbour, Bermuda has long been a safe haven for sailors crossing this ocean.
Last night and this morning was much of the same, crashing upwind, but then this afternoon the weather has eased, so the sea state's eased and also the wind, and we've had some really pleasant sailing conditions. You can actually see the island of Bermuda. It's a really low-lying island, so it took it a while to appear from behind the waves. Really looking forward to arriving. I've had 2 coffees, which is the first caffeine I've had in about 9 days, so I'm feeling excited and full of energy. Neither of us have ever been to Bermuda before, and I think this is our 37th or 38th country visited together on Florence. Yeah, looking forward to seeing what's here.
I'm also looking forward to having a rest before we have to spend another 2,000 miles at sea.
Yeah, I think I'm going to sleep really well once this coffee's worn off.
Do you know the location of the Customs and Immigration Office?
I believe it's on the northeast end of Ordnance Island. Is that correct? Over?
That's correct. Okay, so that'll be your first stop. If you could just give us a call once you reach the east end of the island. If there's nothing further, we'll hear from you then. You can call on 27.
Just spoke to the harbour master in Bermuda on the VHF radio, and he asked a whole bunch of information about us in preparation for us to go in. So we now need to go and put up our Q flag, and then when we get into St George's Harbour, which is on the eastern end of Bermuda, we need to go alongside the customs dock so we can go and do check-in. And thankfully it sounds like they're going to stay open because there's a few boats coming in, although we're going to be a little bit after hours, so hopefully we will be able to get checked in today.
Because today's a Saturday.
Yeah, today's a Saturday and we're going to be getting there at about 6 o'clock, I think, in the evening. Whale! There's one there! There's a pod of whales just between us and the shore here. It's really difficult to get them on camera because you never know where they're going to pop up and blow. They're not displaying or sounding and seeing tails or anything. You just see the back of the whale with a really small fin and the spout as they breathe. They're pretty big though, not far away from Florence.
I knew that it was coming to the end of whale season in Bermuda, and every time we were launching off a wave and coming crashing down, I was just grateful that we weren't landing on top of one, because they do sleep on the surface and occasionally boats can hit them.
It is exciting to arrive in Bermuda, but it is also a relief. The weather we experienced getting here was not what we were expecting from the forecast. It is 790 miles in a direct line from the Bahamas to Bermuda, but we ended up having to sail 1,013 miles to get here, because the wind changed to blow against us, forcing us to zigzag upwind. It has actually taken us over 2 days longer than we expected to get here.
The entrance passage to St George's Harbour is very narrow. They used to get cruise ships coming in here, but now those ships have become so huge that they simply don't fit. The narrow entrance also ensures that the ocean swells cannot get in, so it was a relief to pass inside into the calm waters and escape the rolling ocean.
Very narrow.
Checking in with customs was quick and easy. We paid $75 to check in, and checking out will be free. With that done, we could move out to the anchorage for our first uninterrupted night's sleep in 10 days. Time to have a look around and see where we have sailed to.
First impressions of here are that it's really clean and also very pretty. There's so many historic buildings that are painted in bright colours and loads of flowers everywhere in these lovely little lanes and just historical areas. Beautiful.
Just come out of the water to see these local Bermudian boats racing. They're quite an open rules class. There's no rules on the amount of sail area you can have, so it's a really small boat with a big bowsprit, a really long boom, and as much sail as they can cram on. And it's quite interesting just been watching them. Got quite a few crew on board, but it's quite light winds today, so on the last downwind leg, there's a couple of them got told to just jump over the side to reduce the weight. And jump off backwards to give them a push forward. And then coming into the bottom mark, the last time they were going to use the spinnaker poles, all the spinnaker poles got jettisoned into the water for their coach boats and chase boats to pick up. It's just great to come out and see these racing, really enthusiastic, and there's lots of people watching them too.
When you think of Bermudan weather, rain is not the first thing that comes to mind. Yet in our time here, rain has been the main feature. With Bermuda's National Day Parade coming up, everyone was hoping that the rain would let up. But sadly, it poured down incessantly.
The Bermuda Day Parade is a massive event here. When we arrived, we found tents lining the route. Usually used to shelter from the sun, they were now used against the rain. Extended families get together, bringing food and drink to have a party as they enjoy the spectacle.
Dancing is a big thing here in Bermuda. As we've been walking around exploring, we have seen many dance studios offering lessons. Today is when they showcase what they've been working on. They'd all clearly spent a huge amount of time on their costumes and makeup, for which the weather sadly had no respect.
Unfortunately, the rain put a stop to many of the acts in the parade.
Of course, we are not just here to see the island. After a tough 9 days at sea to get here, with the unpredictable weather of the North Atlantic leg to the Azores ahead, we need to use this time to look after Florence and make repairs.
Swing round to the other spreader, okay?
The first job is to give Florence a full inspection from top to bottom. Once we leave Bermuda, we're on our own, out of range of rescue. If the mast falls down, we are in big trouble. So Matt is giving all the rigging a careful inspection. This is a job we do before and after any large ocean passage, and especially when we've sailed through some tough weather, which puts increased loads on the rig.
One of the jobs we've got to do is to replace the boom toggle, which is a piece that joins the boom to the mast at the gooseneck. And we actually noticed this. This isn't something that's happened on the passage here. This is something that's just been wear and tear over our whole trip around the world. And we noticed that this piece here is wearing. So we took the big plunge and ordered a very expensive piece of metal to replace it. And now I've got the boom suspended by the main halyard. I've just got to disconnect everything. We'll hang the boom in space, take the pin out, put the new one in, and it should all just go back together and be done. And then we won't have the risk of that piece breaking, because if that breaks when we're out at sea, the boom will fall off the mast and that'll be a major catastrophe. Getting parts is one of the big problems when cruising around the world, because you're often in remote locations, and when you're at home, you're at your home address, you can just have something to be delivered. But when you're out cruising, you don't have that regular address unless you're staying in a marina or something. Now luckily, Paddy, who follows the videos, contacted us and said, is there anything he could do to help when we came to Bermuda? And of course we said, yes, please can we have your address? So we sent this part to him. But yeah, that's one of the big problems sailing around the world, is actually getting hold of the parts that you need.
The boom with the mainsail on is quite heavy, so we've suspended it by halyards, using the main sheet and vang to move it.
Is it moving aft, clear of the...
It's not clear, it's moved aft, but it's not clear. Okay, that's...
So that's the old one, and you can see that the hole is now massive in there. That's the size the hole is supposed to be, and this is a replacement part. It's an upgraded version, a stainless version instead of an aluminium version. But yeah, it looks like it should do the job, hopefully. Cool. Cool. Remember back in the Bahamas, we were redoing the stitching on the UV cover of this Genoa, and we were going to try and find someone to restitch the whole thing. Well, we didn't find someone to restitch the whole thing, and here in Bermuda, it would be crazy expensive to take this somewhere to be stitched. So we're doing more hand stitching on the bow. But at least it's not raining today, so it's quite nice to sit here and enjoy the view whilst we're doing it. In the distance, you can see the local Bermudan sloops racing. So whilst we've got the Genoa down, we're going to address the chafe that we've got on the Genoa sheets here, where they go through the beak of the pole when we're running downwind and got the Genoa poled out. Now previously we put on this anti-chafe, which has worked on this piece here, but we still had a significant amount of chafe here, so it's wearing a little bit thin. So I'm going to cut these off, and then instead of them being continuous little arcs fitted onto here, they'll just be separate with a bowline each, which is not great because it's got a bigger knot to go past all the rigging when we tack, but that'll do to get us home. Okay, maybe there was more left there than I thought. But Better safe than sorry. There we go. We were pounding upwind in 30 knots apparent to get here. We were plunging over loads of waves and sending up whole loads of spray, and it would hit the side of Florence and whole waves worth would run down the side and then across the back deck and off down to leeward here. And we were finding that we were getting quite a lot of water coming in, and we're pretty sure it's coming in through the seal around the lazarette hatch. Now, what's supposed to happen is the water's supposed to go around this gutter and out to drain holes at the back of the boat, but this seal, because there's so much water coming across the deck, I think it rose up through the gutter and then it was just breaking through this seal, because this seal is pretty old, pretty dead now, it's pretty compressed, so I don't think that was giving a very good seal. So I'm going to take this all off, clean it up, and luckily we have a new nice and springy seal, and then hopefully that will seal this and we won't have that problem when we're going across to the Azores. Well, we'll have to give up that and do that tomorrow, because the glue, it's an old tin of glue, it's gone off. So we'll have to go and find a hardware store and buy some super expensive Bermudan contact adhesive.
When the sun is out, this is not such a bad location to be doing boat jobs. There are lots of anchorages available on Bermuda, but as there is absolutely no wind today, and we would have to motor Florence at 5 knots to get to them, we decided to get on the ferry and motor at 25 knots instead, as we head to the opposite end of Bermuda to visit its historic dockyard.
Not really sure what to say about here, Dockyard. So we came from St George's to Dockyard on the ferry, and it's not really what we were expecting to see here. We read a bit about the place before we got here and learnt about the history, and it's some beautiful old buildings here, but I learnt more about the history of the place from reading about it online and in a magazine than I have from being here. And it seems that it's basically like a theme park with parking for cruise ships. It's crazy. It's like $15 to go to the beach in here, and there's other beaches you can go to not very far away for free. I don't really kind of get it. It's not us, really.
Yeah, I think that's the first beach that I've ever seen with a check-in desk. I mean, don't get me wrong, I didn't sail to Bermuda and expect to, deserted beaches and a very natural environment, but this is, I guess, a bit of a shock.
The dockyard here came into being in the 1800s, after us Brits were kicked out of the USA and needed a new naval base close to Halifax. It could repair, rearm and provision even the largest ships of the fleet, and was defended by numerous forts, although it was never attacked.
We didn't stay long and hopped on a bus for a 10-minute ride to a quieter part of the island.
So this is Somerset Bridge, the smallest drawbridge in the world. The only bit that you can get through is the tiny gap in the middle. It's just wide enough to take the mast of a boat. However, it's not wide enough to take any of the rigging, and it's not deep enough for Florence, so it's of no use to us whatsoever. but maybe the machine. But I think the machine's mast is short enough so that she'd just go under the bridge anyway.
We made the most of the sunny weather and a free bus pass that fellow cruisers gave us to explore the island. When the sun does shine, its brilliance is reflected back by the flowers and brightly painted buildings of Bermuda.
It's interesting that this is a prefabricated iron lighthouse, designed, I think, and built in pieces in the UK and then shipped out here. And you can see the section numbers imprinted on each of the panels. And it's very similar to the lighthouse that we saw in Belitung in Indonesia on the other side of the world. And that one had been made in the UK and shipped out in parts to be assembled there as well.
It's an absolutely beautiful day today, and it looks much nicer out to sea than it did when we sailed in. It's making sailing across the North Atlantic look much more appealing at the moment.
One of the striking things about Bermuda is the white roofs of all the buildings on the island. Now, it's a pretty small island and there are no rivers here, so fresh water is a real problem on the island. And so every building has to have rainwater collection on its roof. And so I think they're covered over in something and it's painted white.
It's been a real shame about the rain and the bad weather that we've had whilst we've been here, but the thing that I'm going to take away from our time in Bermuda is just how friendly and kind everybody that we've met has been.
I've enjoyed exploring here, and I certainly enjoyed stopping here after the bashing to windward we had to get here. But although I enjoy it here, I wouldn't say it's somewhere that I would rush to get back to. It's beautiful, it's clean, everybody's friendly like Amy said. It's very nice, but I think it's time to sail on to the Azores.
And with a weather window approaching for us to leave, we're about to do just that.
If you enjoy our videos, please subscribe to the channel to make sure you don't miss an episode, and that's absolutely free.
If you'd like to see where we are in real time, then please join the crew over on Patreon to see the tracker map where we post a daily update.
As always, we want to say a massive thank you to everyone who supports the making of these videos, and especially our star patrons.